What's up there, workforce? Chris here with Work2Game, and it is time to talk about limit breaks. What are they? How do I equip it? What do I use it for? And how often should I be using it? Because I really keep seeing this term tossed around, and I don't exactly know what I'm doing here. Now, this week is brought to us once again by Patreon. So if you have a chance, thank a Patreon in the comments down below, or maybe consider becoming one. These are the two that we're picking for this video. Thank you guys, and let's dive in. Now I've logged in here and I'm zoomed in on the right side so that I can go ahead and show this to you. I open up my character and you'll see that I click actions and traits in the bottom right. Now this is going to pull up this menu here and you're going to go to the general tab. In the general tab we see limit break and it says spend energy stored in your party's limit gauge to execute a powerful battle technique. Now this is going to range based on your role here. So it says tanks increase party defense. Melee is single target attack, ranged is attacks in all of a straight line, and casters, there's a difference there, is your area of effect attack. Your healers have a heal type move, and if the target is not weakened at the time of the raise, then they will be restored in a non-weakened state. So there's something, just a clarification there. So now this is going to be determined by the level of the limit break. Now when you go into a limit break, you're going to have a number of bars in the top left of your screen based on the size of your party and the content that you're in. Now if you're in what's called a light party, that's your 4-mans, your dungeons, you're going to just see one little segment up there and it's going to jump to 2 segments during major boss fights. If you're in a full party, that's your 8-man content, you're going to see 2 segments and it's going to jump to 3 during major boss fights. This works a little different during raids, and that's why it's important that when you're in 8-man content that you don't just leave, because when people leave when they're dead, it actually can drop them back down to no longer being a full party, which caps them at 2 bars. And so you can actually screw that party over even if the instance is just going to end. So if you have to take off, you might as well just let yourself kind of AFK out as opposed to that if they're going to get the clear, but I don't really know there. That's why you should just stick around, because even in saying that, I disagree with the statement I just made. You should stick around. What if they need to res you? What if they need to just stay in the fight? So limit breaking. The gauge is going to get filled by actions you all take. So as you guys fight, as you progress through a dungeon, it's going to fill. This bar is going to reset at the beginning of certain major boss encounters. And so you'll see times in main story, for example, where it's best to use it to clear something because you know going in the next fight that it's going to reset anyway. So it is use it or lose it. And that's the theme here. Limit breaks are use it or lose it. It is a bonus given to you on behalf of your entire party to be used by one individual. And if you finish the instance and just zone out and it's capped, it doesn't benefit you. And if you leave it at cap and it's blinking and it's ready to go, you hear a little noise when it triggers each of the bars, then honestly, there's nothing else to be gained. So the question is, why not use it then? Now, if you have a good reason, if it's not tactically a good idea, then don't use it. But if you're in the middle of a boss fight, a lot of times you can use that level 3 limit break and you can build back to 1 or 2 or sometimes even all 3 bars and use it again. So the question is, well, how do I know what role I am? So at this point, if you're new to the game, the roles are tank, that's the guy standing up front, taking the hits, your paladins, your warriors, your dark knights, and you have your melee DPS, that's the guys who are fighting in close, people like ninjas and samurais, right? You know it, dragoons. Now, casters, that's going to be your red mage, your black mage, you guys casting spells as your primary form of doing damage. And then range DPS, you're standing out there with the casters, but you're not shooting spells. And so that's things like a machinist or a bard. So now, Bard used to be a heal, so if you came to the game before and you feel like that doesn't sound right, they did change that. I believe that was 3.0. So the way that it's going to work is you're going to cast it based on the level that you're in, and you want to wait for that level to go up. So at level 1, your casters are going to be casting an ability called Sky Shard. So let me move off to the side here and see if I can start showing some of these in no particular order. I'm going to be pulling them from videos of other players doing them because I don't have all my classes at cap. And so I just get to see these when other people do them. Healing Wind is going to restore 25% of everybody, so it's really not a big deal for healers. So healers probably shouldn't be using it. Big Shot is going to do damage to targets in a straight line. That's going to be the theme there. That straight line is 30 yards long. You'll get used to it. It's a blue square or a blue circle. That's how you know what's going on. Shield Wall is going to reduce the damage taken to all party members by 10%. So it's like casting one of your defensive cooldowns, but it goes to everybody. Braver is going to be your melee DPS, and it's a single target attack. It's got a potency of 2300, which is a lot, but it's kind of a burn, a waste of that level 1 limit break. So most of the time, as a matter of fact, when you get into in-game content, a lot of times level 1 limit breaks for the cost of the amount of time it takes to use them, can actually be a DPS loss for some classes. Now, as we move into level 2s, you have Starstorm, Breath of the Earth, Desperado, Mighty Guard, Blade Dance, and these are all going to basically be same as the previous version, except more. So it's going to be 60% of people's health. It's going to be higher potencies. It's going to be reduces damage taken by 20%. So it's just stepped up from the first level. We really haven't done anything shocking here. Level 3 is where it gets exciting. Now, it starts to vary by class because, you know, there's some animation there, but what you're mostly going to see is you're going to see your casters are going to have this huge thing, like Black Mages drop a big meteor on the world. Boom! Dominates. It can really wipe out if you have a big pull that's really hard to wipe, or like nails on Ifrit or something where you've got a lot of targets in a reasonable group and you can get them all in there. They can die instantly. Otherwise, a lot of times you'd prefer a melee DPS to do it because they can focus all that damage on the boss because they're getting a higher potency, right? They're doing a potency of like 7,000 or 9,000 or something ridiculous. I think it's 9,000 now. So they're doing a potency of 9,000 on a single target. So it's fantastic, as opposed to that range, that caster, that's an AoE at a potency of 6,150. So, you know, you're getting a lot more damage there if you can do a single target on a single target and range targets on range targets. You know, when you have a lot of things to kill. Now, the big thing here is going to be the healer. Now, the healer limit break changes a lot. When you talk about doing a level 3 limit break, this is most commonly used in progression. We'll talk about use in just a second. This is going to restore 100% health and mana to all your party members, your nearby party members. It's going to revive any KO'd allies in a weakened state. So it's a res. It's a mass res. So when you lose just about everybody, right, or if you lose your whole party in an alliance raid, they can pick up your healer, and if you have a level 3 limit break, this is really great when you have like just the tank and the healer live through something. One of your healers can cast it on the whole 8-man, and you can all come back up and carry on the fight, and you can actually get the clear, even though you obviously did something wrong. So the level 3 limit break's awesome. I've been in fights where we've gotten to use that twice, which means we got a clear we really shouldn't have. So the question is, when do I use it? How do I know if it's my turn? And honestly, the simple answer is if you're asking the question, should I use the limit break? It's probably already past time that you should. Yes, it is optimal when a single target DPS can use it on the boss, but if the single target's just going to not use it, then we would rather the 6,150 potency coming off of a cast, that big meteor, right, than nothing at all. So it is use it or lose it, and you should be burning it. The only times we talk about defensive cooldowns, your tanks and your healers, is usually progression fights. Fights where you're not sure you're going to get the clear. So defensive cooldowns are a great way to avoid raid-wide damage that honestly should kill everybody, and you can make sure that it doesn't. That level 3 is going to reduce damage taken by all party members for 50% for 12 seconds. It's called Last Bastion, Landwaker, Dark Force. They all do the same thing now. And basically you're saying, don't worry, I got you. The whole party's going to take 50% reduced damage, which can oftentimes avoid you guys getting a one-shot where maybe you didn't DPS down something you should have, and now you're going to get punished for it. And it would wipe the party, but you can cast that. And there are even progression fights where at first, at least till people get the gear and they learn the mechanics a little better, that's the way people get past it. They bank on that. So if it's part of the strategy, that's when we use tanks. If the strategy is falling apart, that's when we use healers. But if things are going well, limit breaks are something used by DPS traditionally to speed the dungeon up. So on huge pulls that really define a dungeon, you can use it on trash. On bosses, you can use it to tear down bosses. But when it's capped, it's a question of why not now? If you have a good reason, if it's the last pull before a boss when it caps, well then give it a second, use it on the boss. But you don't have to wait until the boss is at 4% on the last boss of the dungeon to use it. Odds are, in most dungeons, you can use it twice. Or definitely 1.5 times, where you get that 3, you get 3 in an alliance raid, and then you get a 2. So there is no reason not to use this. There is absolutely no reason. And you are way more likely to not get yelled at for using it than to get yelled at. So just use it. Otherwise, we're just leaving damage on the table. They gave us something. And this is something unique to this MMO. Other MMOs don't really do this, where you have this party-wide gauge that you're filling up. And there are little bits of it, but this is really a Final Fantasy system, and it works unbelievably beautifully for them when it's used. But the theme of this video is, please God, use your limit breaks. Just use it. Always be limit breaking. I will almost always give my comm to the person that uses the limit break because I just want to say thanks. That was awesome. Please use it. So if you guys have any questions about limit breaks, definitely leave them in the comments below. But that's really what limit breaks are. It's just something you equip to your bar. It should be on your bar. If you have a shared bar across all your classes, it should be there, always bound to the same one. Mine is bound to Shift V because I play on keyboard, and all of my classes have it on Shift V. So if there's ever a time I need to be limit breaking, it is always there. It should be on your bar. You should be using it. It's an incredible, like, ultimate, amazing feeling to use it. So go out there, limit break more often. Have a great day. This has been Chris with Work to Game. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Hey, it's me. Thanks so much for watching this video. You should click over here to see more videos just like it, or you should click down here to check out our recent vlog. But you can also click somewhere down here below to hit the subscribe button, as well as check out our other info. Again, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.